A quorum is present. Without objection, the chair is authorized to declare a recess at any time. Pursuant to Committee Rule 5B and House Rule 11, Clause 2, the chair may postpone further proceedings today on the question of approving any measure or matter or adopting an amendment on which a recorded vote or the yeas and nays are ordered. The first order of business is ratifying the new subcommittee roster. The clerks have distributed the roster electronically. I ask unanimous consent that the committee approve the appointments and assignments as shown on the roster. Without objection, the subcommittee roster is approved. The chair also notes that points of order pertaining to the engaging of personalities against the president will not be in order for the duration of this markup. Given the underlying subject matter of Hunter Biden's subpoena and this committee's investigation, members must be allowed to speak frankly. Now, pursuant to notice, I call up a report containing a resolution recommending that the House of Representatives find Robert Hunter Biden in contempt of Congress for refusal to comply with a subpoena duly issued by this committee. The clerk will report the report, which has been distributed in advance.
A report containing a House resolution recommending that the House of Representatives find Robert Hunter Biden in contempt of Congress for refusal to comply with a subpoena duly issued by this committee.
I ask unanimous consent that the report be considered as read and open for amendment at any point. Without objection, so ordered. The chair recognizes himself to offer an amendment in the nature of a substitute. The clerk will please report the amendment.
An amendment in the nature of a substitute offered to the contempt report as offered by Mr. Comer of Kentucky.
Without objection, the amendment is considered as read, and the substitute will be considered as original text for the purposes of further amendment. I now recognize myself for 5 minutes for a statement on the report. Today, the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability will consider a resolution and report recommending the House of Representatives find Hunter Biden in contempt of Congress for his refusal to comply with a subpoena duly issued by the committee. The House Committees on Oversight and Accountability and Judiciary issued subpoenas to Hunter Biden for a deposition to be conducted on December 13th, 2023. On December 13th, Hunter Biden failed to comply with the deposition subpoenas relevant to the House of Representatives impeachment inquiry and the committee's oversight investigations. Instead, Hunter Biden appeared on the grounds of the U.S. Capitol where he read a short, prepared statement without taking any questions from the media. Our investigation has produced significant evidence suggesting President Biden knew of, participated in, and benefited from his family's cashing in on the Biden name. Based on witness testimony, Joe Biden was the brand his family sold around the world to enrich the Biden family. The Bidens and their associates raked in over $24 million from 2014 to 2019 from countries like China, Russia, Romania, and Kazakhstan. Witness testimony confirms then Vice President Biden met, spoke by phone, dined, and had coffee with his family's foreign business associates. President Biden has repeatedly lied to the American people about speaking with his son's associates. We've also traced how money from the Biden's China deals and other influence peddling schemes landed in Joe Biden's personal bank account. We plan to question Hunter Biden about this record of evidence during our deposition, but he blatantly defied 2 lawful subpoenas. Hunter Biden's willful refusal to comply with the committee's subpoenas is a criminal act. It constitutes contempt of Congress and warrants referral to the appropriate United States Attorney's Office for prosecution as prescribed by the law. We will not provide Hunter Biden with special treatment because of his last name. All Americans must be treated equally under the law, and that includes the Bidens. Now, recognize Ranking Member Raskin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We believe that everyone subpoenaed by Congress, whether it's Hunter Biden or Jim Jordan or Andy Biggs or Steve Bannon or Scott Perry, should engage in good faith compliance with the committee's requests and the committee's subpoenas. We are here today because the chairman has bizarrely decided to obstruct his own investigation and is now seeking to hold Hunter Biden in contempt after he accepted the chairman's multiple public offers to come answer the committee's questions under oath before the American people. This is at the same time that they stand by the categorical non-compliance of Republican members of Congress, like Mr. Jordan, who have material information about the violent attack.
One moment. The cameras cannot be in the well. Cameras cannot be in the well. Cameras cannot be in the well. Yeah. All right, proceed, Mr. Raskin.
Thank you. But I was just making the point that our colleagues who are arraigning Mr. Biden today on charges that he has not rendered 100% compliance, allegedly with a subpoena, are standing by Republican colleagues who've rendered 0% compliance with their subpoenas, including Mr. Jordan, Mr. Biggs, and Mr. Perry, when they have material information about the violent attack on the Capitol, the Congress, and the Vice President of the United States on January 6, 2021. In any event, for the last 11 months, the chairman has repeatedly refused offers from Hunter Biden and his attorney to meet with the chairman and his staff and with members of this committee. On February 9th, just one day after the chairman's first letter to Hunter Biden, Mr. Biden's lawyer responded and offered Chairman Comer to, quote, sit with you and your staff, including the ranking member and his staff, to see whether Mr. Biden has information that may inform some legitimate legislative purpose and be helpful to the committee. The chairman never responded. On September 13th, Mr. Biden's lawyer again wrote to Chairman Comer after a Newsmax interview in which the chairman falsely claimed that he never got a response back to his original letter. Mr. Biden's attorney explained the chairman actually never responded to his offer to sit down and discuss the committee's request, but stated that he remained available to have the discussion, but the chairman again completely failed to respond. 2 months later, on November 8th, Chairman Comer and Jordan issued subpoenas to Mr. Biden requiring his appearance for a deposition on December 13th. In the cover letter, the chairman noted, given your client's willingness to address this investigation publicly up to this point, we would expect him to testify before Congress. Throughout the fall, the chairman urged Mr. Biden to come appear at a public committee hearing. On September 13th on Newsmax, the chairman stated, Hunter Biden is more than welcome to come in front of the committee. If he wants to clear his good name, if he wants to come and say, you know, there weren't 20 show companies, he's invited today. We'll drop everything. On October 31, on a nationwide podcast, the chairman stated, we have mountains of evidence. Now we're ready to bring them in. We're in the downhill phase now because we have so many documents and we can bring these people in for depositions or committee hearings, whichever they choose. For depositions or committee hearings, whichever they choose, and we can ask these questions with evidence. On November 6th, again on Newsmax, our good chairman stated, I will extend that invitation on your show right now, Rob, if the Biden family wants to join Tony Bobulinski in an official oversight committee hearing and answer questions that the American people have, then that invitation's open right now. They can come on in and do that. On November 28th, Hunter Biden, through his lawyer, agreed to Chairman Comer's multiple public requests. He agreed to appear precisely at a public hearing under oath to answer the committee's questions on December 13th. Exactly what our good colleagues, the Republicans who had information about January 6th, never agreed to do. They never agreed to testify anywhere under oath about what they knew. The letter that came in from Mr. Biden embraced the importance of having a public proceeding that, quote, would prevent selective leaks, manipulated transcripts, doctored exhibits, or one-sided press statements, especially in light of the committee's past use of closed-door sessions to manipulate, even distort the facts,
Mr. Chairman,
misinform the
Mr. Chairman,
public.
I have an inquiry.
State your point.
Mr. Chairman, don't we have House rules and committee rules regarding subpoenas and then rules about having hearings and having questions with witnesses that must be followed?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to reclaim my time.
State the rules, Mr. Chairman.
Hold on.
We could just interrupt each
Mr.
other with an
Raskin,
inquiry?
Your time was expired.
I'd like to know the rules of the House and our committee.
Read them.
They're available to every member.
The rules state for a deposition, if that's what you're asking, 3 days notice. You have to have the stenographer and all of that. So that's.
Mr.
So
Chairman,
just to clarify, we can't have someone
Mr.
just
Raskin's
walk
time's
in.
expired.
Mr. Chairman, point
Do
of
any other members wish to be heard?
Mr. Chairman, point of inquiry.
Mr. Chairman, I did endure multiple interruptions in my opening. Could I finish? Would that be all
Well,
right?
you went over your 5 minutes, but I'll give you 30 more seconds.
Okay. The chairman refused to take yes for an answer from Hunter Biden. Instead, on December 1, they pulled a bait and switch. They changed the terms of their request. They rejected his offer or his acceptance of their offer and insisted that he now come in and sit for a secret closed-door deposition. On December 6, Hunter Biden's lawyer reiterated that Hunter Biden was willing to accept the chair's original request and once again offered to appear on December 13th or any other date in December to answer any question pertinent and relevant to the subject matter. He again raised concerns about closed-door sessions. That's what brings us to today, Mr. Chairman. He has materially, substantially, in good faith complied with what your requests were.
He complied with the subpoena.
We would have
time's expired.
We would have loved that.
Do
kind
any
of
other
compliance.
members wish to be heard?
Mr.
Chair
Chairman.
recognizes Ms. Mace from South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Chairman Comer. First of all, my first question is who bribed Hunter Biden to be here today? That's my first question. Second question, you are the epitome of white privilege, coming into the Oversight Committee, spitting in our face, ignoring a congressional subpoena to be deposed. What are you afraid of? You have no balls to come up here and...
Mr. Chairman, point of inquiry.
Mr. Chairman,
If
The ladies recognize.
if the gentle lady wants to hear from Hunter Biden, we can hear from him right now, Mr.
And
Chairman.
when
Let's take a
speaking
vote
to
and hear from
I'm
Hunter Biden.
speaking.
What are you
women
afraid
allowed
of?
to speak?
Hold on. Order.
Why are you guys not willing to let
Are
us speak?
women
Public
allowed to
hearing.
speak in here or no?
Okay.
Are women allowed to speak in here or no?
Order.
Because you keep interrupting me.
I'll interrupt the
You keep
chairman. I don't
interrupting.
know that he's a lady.
I think that Hunter Biden should be arrested right here, right now, and go straight to jail. Our nation is founded on the rule of law.
Come on.
And the premise
Come
that the
on.
law applies equally to everyone, no matter what your last
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Point of
It
order.
doesn't matter who you are.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Biggs over here.
Donald Trump Jr.
Biggs over here.
State your point, Mr. Biggs.
Yeah, my point of order is this. Are we going to continue on with this blatant interruption? This is absurd and inappropriate. I intend to give my statement. I don't intend to have anybody interrupted. I'm not going to interrupt your statements. I think you should have decorum and courtesy and don't act like a bunch of nimrods.
You just interrupted a woman.
And that's five.
I got permission.
Can we
I did-
agree? Everyone has
Mr.
5
Chairman,
minutes. Can we agree?
Point of order again. The assertion that I interrupted was absolutely false. That's typical of the gentleman who spoke it. I got permission to speak from the chairman. I spoke. I was interrupted yet again by the gentleman who doesn't choose to go through the chair and follow proper order. I encourage us. I think if we're going to have any respect at all, we need to have proper decorum.
Well said. Well said.
I'd like to finish.
The rules are everyone's going to be recognized for 5 minutes. Anyone that wants to be recognized will be recognized for 5 minutes. Ms. Mace has 4 minutes and 13 seconds left. Chair recognizes Ms. Mace.
It does not matter who you are, where you come from, or who your father is, or your last name. Yes, I'm looking at you, Hunter Biden, as I'm speaking to you. You are not above the law at all. The facts in this case are crystal clear. This committee used and issued a lawful subpoena to Hunter Biden, a critical witness in this committee's investigation into Biden family corruption. Hunter Biden and his lawyers did not claim privilege of any kind because clearly he has none. They didn't contest the legitimacy of our reasons for issuing this subpoena, no reasons, because they clearly are legitimate. And yet he refused to comply. Trump's family members, Don Trump Jr., he did not defy a congressional subpoena. He showed up multiple times for multiple depositions for several hours. In doing so, Hunter Biden broke the law. He did so deliberately. You did so flagrantly. You showed up on the Hill, on the Senate side, the day of that congressional subpoena to defy it and spit in the face of this committee. That's what you did. The question the American people are asking us is, what is Hunter Biden so afraid of? Why can't you show up for a congressional deposition? You're here for a political stunt. This is just a PR stunt to you. This is just a game that you are playing with the American people. You're playing with the truth. Hunter Biden wasn't afraid to sell access to Joe Biden to the highest bidder when he was in elected office. He wasn't afraid to trade on the Biden brand, peddle influence, and share those ill-gotten gains with members of his family, including Joe Biden. He wasn't afraid to compromise the integrity of the presidency and vice presidency by involving Joe Biden in shady business deals with our foreign adversaries. But Hunter Biden, you were too afraid to show up for a deposition. And you still can't today. I believe that Hunter Biden should be held completely in contempt. I think he should be hauled off to jail right now, because it wasn't long ago, too, my friends on the other side of the aisle, that you also believed in the power of a congressional subpoena. Not long ago at all. You believed in holding those who refuse to comply with congressional subpoena accountable. And I stood with each and every one of you. I am the only member in this room today who has held a member of my own party in contempt of Congress for not showing up for a subpoena. And I see nothing but complete hypocrisy on the other side of the aisle. The ranking member of this committee even so eloquently put it, the lesson is, please tell your children out there in America, if you get a subpoena to go before Congress, go. You have a legal responsibility to do so. So the hypocrisy is stunning. What are we to tell our children today? There's nothing the other side can say with a straight face. As the only member of this committee to vote to hold a member of contempt of my own party, let me be clear, this should not be a partisan issue. If Congress issues a subpoena, you show up, period. This is not a responsibility we take lightly. It brings no joy for us to do this, but the president's son broke the law and must be held accountable in the same way anybody else would. I urge my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to do so. And my last message to you, Hunter Biden, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Will the gentlelady yield for a question? Will the gentlelady yield? Will my friend yield from South Carolina?
Sure.
I do want to commend the gentlelady who was the only Republican who stood up and voted to hold in contempt the Republican members of the House who blatantly and categorically refused to comply with subpoenas that came from the bipartisan January 6th committee. I would like to ask my friend, Ms. Mace from South Carolina, whether she's aware of all the case law which says that the committee has to engage in good faith interaction with the witnesses they've called, and they're supposed to arrive at a solution. And what do you think about the fact that the chairman on multiple occasions gave this witness the opportunity to come before the full committee, and he agreed to that?
We issued a congressional subpoena, and I know with your constitutional law background, you know exactly what that means, and he should have showed up. And because of your vote and because of your statements, you should be voting to hold this man in contempt of Congress today, right now, if you're going to be consistent on your own policies and your own words.
Gentlelady's time's expired. Chair recognizes Mr. Moskowitz for 5 minutes.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's good to see you after a long break. So I'm listening to the gentlelady from South Carolina about the witness being afraid to come in front of the committee. It's interesting. He's here. He doesn't seem to be too afraid. In fact, for some reason, the chairman, who on multiple occasions invited the witness to come on TV, apparently the chairman wants to pretend like his statements on television or in interviews don't matter. But it didn't happen once. It didn't happen twice. It happened multiple times. The chairman said the witness can choose whether to come to a deposition or to a public hearing in front of the committee. The witness accepted the chairman's invitation. It just so happens the witness is here. If the committee wants to hear from the witness, and the chairman gave the witness that option, then the only folks that are afraid to hear from the witness with the American people watching are my friends on the other side of the aisle. I don't know if there's a proper motion, Mr. Chairman, but I'll make a motion. Let's vote. Let's take a vote. Who wants to hear from Hunter right now, today? Anyone? Come on. Who wants to hear from Hunter?
Motion's out of order. Yeah.
No one. So I'm a visual learner, and the visual is clear. Nobody over there wants to hear from the witness. Oh, there's one. Thank you.
Will you yield for a question?
I'm not there yet, but I will eventually. So there's no one, well, other than one or two, that want to hear from the witness. So the majority of my colleagues over there, including the chairman, don't want to hear from the witness with the American people watching. So, Mr. Chairman, I just want to hear from you. Will you acknowledge that you invited the witness on television to choose whether he could come to a public hearing? And do you stand by your words, or do you renege that invitation to the witness?
To answer the question, I've said repeatedly, after the deposition, Mr. Biden can come in front of a public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I don't want to play the video, but that is not what you said on television multiple times. We have the quotes. We can put them up. You said the witness can choose between a deposition.
Listen,
or
Mr. Moskowitz, Mr. Biden doesn't make the rules. We make the rules.
No, Mr. Chairman, you make the rules. And the rule you made is that he can choose.
The rule is...
Those were your words. Reclaiming my time.
He was issued 2 lawful subpoenas.
Reclaiming my time, Mr. Chairman. No, you issued those subpoenas after he took you up on your invitation to come, and then you were like, oh, no, oh, my God, what did I do? I invited him to come so the American people can hear his side of the story. I put my foot in my mouth, so now I must bury him in the basement where we can decide what we're going to release to the public so that we can continue to tell that story. Mr. Chairman, you have said multiple times that this is not about Hunter. It's about Joe Biden. And even this morning on Mornings with Maria, she asked another simple question, the question you have been asked multiple times, which is, do you have evidence to impeach the President of the United States? Before you said, I hope so. Today you said, I think so. And the answer is, you don't. And you still don't. And so we continue to be here and have these charades. To my colleagues who talk about lawful subpoenas, I appreciate the gentlelady from South Carolina who voted to hold people in contempt. Listen, I'll make this bipartisan. I'll vote for the Hunter contempt today. You can get my vote. But I want you to show the American people that you're serious. Here is the subpoena to Representative Scott Perry, who did not comply. I'd like to enter this into the record. Here is the subpoena to Mark Meadows. I'd like to enter this into the record, who did not comply. Here is the subpoena to Jim Jordan, who did not comply with a lawful subpoena. I'd like to enter that into the record. Here is the subpoena to Mo Brooks, who did not comply. I'd like to enter that into the record. Here is the subpoena to Mr. Biggs, who did not comply. I'd like to enter that into the record. And here's the subpoena to Mr. McCarthy, who did not comply. I'd like to enter that into the record. There's an amendment coming to add some of those names into the contempt order. You vote to add those names and show the American people that we apply the law equally, not just when it's Democrats, right? It's a crime when it's Democrats, but when it's Trump and the Republicans, it's just fine. No, show that you're serious and that everyone is not above the law. Vote for that amendment, and I'll vote for the Hunter Biden contempt.